think it's a disservice to not talk about it to
Right.
people who are potentially interested, because you'll have people who are later on down the road are like, what, you've been doing this awesome real estate stuff? Why didn't you mention anything to me
Yeah.
about it?
Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Well, welcome back to Pillars of Wealth Creation. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. On this Hump Day Hustle, we got Matt Jones as always. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I'm recovering from COVID, but other than that, I'm doing good.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm recovering from COVID too. I don't know. I didn't take the test, but I got this stupid cough that won't go away. So I apologize to my audience. I got a little bit of a stuffy nose, not too bad, but this cough like continues to ail me, and like it's not. I don't even have a sore throat. I don't feel like, but it's just like all they get this cough and it's like this itchy throat. So if I'm coughing to the mic, I apologize. We'll do our best to edit that out, but it might happen. So.
Yeah, well, 'tis the season. I mean, happy holidays.
'Tis the season. Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's December here. We got 8 inches of snow on the ground. It's cold. It's just the giving season, and people like to give their colds away. So I'm sure I've given it to some other people too, unknowingly. Try not to. I try to be thoughtful about how I'm coughing and the direction I'm spitting at people when I'm talking, but it is a season.
That's all right. I mean, things don't always go perfectly in life, and just the same as real estate. You just have to adjust and keep going.
Yeah, you got to pivot.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, today we're actually going to be talking about, with the holidays coming up, you're going to have friends and family around you. And so how to talk to your friends and family about real estate investing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting topic, because you don't want to be that guy or that gal who just always talks about them and who's like trying to sell something, right? You don't want to be the person that sells. I think of the network marketer. By the way, there's network marketers that do it right, but people I think know that stereotype of the network marketer who's like just always trying to sell. And so you don't want to be that person that's always trying to sell. You don't want to be the person that's always trying to just talk about what you're doing and impress people. But you also want to make sure people know what you're doing. And especially if you're like me, you're taking investors, right? You want to make sure that people know what you're doing and they know the value of it, and they can either invest in your deals, right? Or they can refer somebody to invest in your deals. And so I think it's definitely important to be able to talk about during the holidays, but also be cautious about how you do it. Yeah. At least for me.
At the same time, I think it's a disservice to not talk about it
Right.
to people who are potentially interested, because you'll have people who are later on down the road are like, what, you've been doing this awesome real estate stuff? Why didn't you mention anything to me about it? Like, I feel like you cut me out of the circle here.
Yeah, that's what I always say. Like, Matt, like, look, if you've been doing this business for 10 years or whatever it is, and you've been successful and you've made investors a bunch of money, and all of a sudden your uncle learns about it, and your uncle's like, hey, I heard that you're doing this, and you made a bunch of money doing it, but you brought in these investors and they've been doing well. Like, why didn't you tell me about it? Don't you like me? Don't you trust me? Like, why didn't you tell me about this? And you're like, well, I just didn't want to sell you something. Well, that's a terrible reason. Like, so it's good to talk about the opportunities that you have. And that's how I like to present things when I sell, right? I like to talk to people about the opportunity that it is. I like to talk to people about the value of investing in real assets and hard assets. And like to talk about how it's an alternative and the ways they can do it. But I'm also probably, especially around family and friends, close family and friends, I'm definitely more shy about it. Because I don't want it to be, here's what I don't want, right? I don't want it to be where it's like, oh, Todd's coming, run, right? He's going to talk about real estate again. And that's the other thing. Like, don't, you can talk about it. You can tell people about it. When somebody says, "Hey, how are things going?" If you haven't talked about it to them, or if you haven't talked to them about it in a long time, maybe years, or you know, a year or whatever, then you can talk about the business and how the business is going. And yeah, I've been raising capital for several real estate deals. We've closed on, 280 units this year, or whatever it might be. Um, we exited a couple deals, made some great returns for our investors, whatever it might be. You can talk about some of those things, but you also want to be careful how, you also want to talk about your family. And, we took a trip to Europe this year. We did this or this, or, talk about other things than just your business. Cause that's not hopefully your whole life. Um, but you also don't, in my opinion, don't need to talk about it every single time you're together too, unless they're asking you about it. If people are for sure asking you about your business and how are things going, certainly easy to talk about.
Yeah, I find myself being maybe a little cautious with when it comes to talking about real estate with my family, especially because once I really get started, I want to keep on going because I love talking about real estate and
Yeah.
all the great things it has. So I'm more hesitant to bring it up or really get going because I know I have a hard time pulling back.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Feel the audience too. Like, what's the audience talking about? Is everybody talking about their businesses or what they're doing in their professional life? Or are they all talking about their kids and sports and whatever? And if that's the case, and you're the only one talking about their business, you're probably talking about the wrong thing. And nobody really cares. They're just hearing the annoying guy in the corner that's talking about their business and talking about how great it is. And they're like, you know what? We just want to know what your kids are doing. We don't care about your business. That's the conversation that's happening. So be aware too of your surroundings and what's happening, of course, in the conversations and what's going on. So when you're together in a group, it's different, but it's also an easy thing to, especially if you're new to this, if you're like new to this and maybe you're just starting to raise some money, uh, that's a great opportunity to, when they say, "Hey, what's new?" And you say, "Well, I'm doing this, I'm doing real estate now." And I'm sure you've seen that, but I'd actually been meaning to talk to you about it. I have created this pitch deck, and because I raise money for these deals. And so I'm raising money for these real estate deals from, investors, and I need to show them what the benefits of the deal are. And I actually would love to show it to you just to give me some advice. I really respect you and love for you to give me some advice on how I can do to improve this. So maybe let's, if you got some time and love to come over, or love to meet you for coffee or whatever it might be. That's a great way to talk to a friend, family member, just very non-assuming. It's not that you're pitching them. You're asking them for advice. You're saying, "Hey, I really respect your opinion. I feel like you'd be a good person to talk to about it, and maybe give me some positive or negative feedback, and let me know what you think." And that way, when you present it to them, it's in a super kind of non-assuming way. It's not, "Hey, I'm pitching this to you." It's, what can I do to improve this pitch deck? If you were a prospective investor, what's confusing here? What's just not professional looking? How can I tweak this? And if they're interested, they're going to talk to you about it.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, because it's putting, it's not putting a tremendous pressure on them, to like invest with you. They don't feel like they're being sold to, and they're going to be a lot more open to looking at what you have to offer.
Yep. Yeah. Most people are turned away at a lot of high pressure, right? And so if you can come to them in a non-pressuring, more educational way, they're going to receive it a lot more than if you're asking, if you're pounding on their door to try to get them to look at your pitch deck or to invest in your deal, right? They're just not going to feel nearly as comfortable because you sound and look desperate or salesy or sleazy. The good sales reps out there are selling without really selling. They're not, you don't feel like you've been pitched. You don't even know it. You bought something and you're like, oh, you know, you just don't feel, you actually, quite frankly, you don't even think about it. You're not like, oh, you just bought something because they sold it to you and they did their job and they educated and they made you feel like you needed it or wanted it. And that's how they sold you.
Yeah, you've talked before about how finding investors isn't like selling to them per se. It's more sharing opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sharing opportunities. It's educating them. It's getting them to feel comfortable. It's getting them to feel like um, they're missing out if they don't invest, and they're a part of something too. Investors want to feel a part of something. And so what are you doing that's bigger than just the investment itself? How are you creating a community? How are you creating a, or maybe like think about Tom's shoes, right? We all know Tom's shoes. That they, I think it's buy a pair, give a pair. They give a pair of shoes away for every pair that's bought, and you feel like you're a part of something there, right? And so some of these companies or a lot of these companies are doing that, where they're giving things away, giving money away, being part of a charity, whatever it is. And so you feel like every time you're buying something from them that you're a part of something greater, right? You're part of something bigger. Like, hey, I bought a pair of shoes, and I basically donated a pair of shoes to somebody, as I bought those shoes. So you feel like you're a part of something good. And so if you can create that kind of atmosphere, that kind of feeling around your investments, that's going to drive even more investors to you. Something that you can create to give more of a feeling of being a part of something. Ask for referrals too, and you got to be careful. I don't want to be out there begging for referrals, but let's just say you do that pitch deck to your uncle, and uncle looks at it, gives you some feedback. A closing would be to ask your uncle for, hey, who do you know that might be interested in investing in something like this? I'd love some introductions if you can think of anybody. No pressure, but
yeah, that's a nice warm lead right there, because you got a personal referral.
Referrals are great leads, and we need to do a better job within our company of asking for referrals. But referrals are great leads, and typically when I get a referral, that person ends up investing. I would venture to guess it's probably like an 80% hit rate, Matt. I mean, maybe it's not quite that good, but it's good. It's very good. Get a referral. They trust that person and they end up investing.
So worth your time. If the moment is right to ask for referrals, do it.
Yep. Good. Yeah. The other thing you can do is show up to the party with an "I am a real estate investor" shirt, and so it tells everybody what you do, no,
giving flyers out to everybody.
Yeah, flyers out. Yeah, just start handing flyers out to people. Just show them your pitch deck. Maybe the other thing that would be great is just to bring a projector and do a presentation. Just
Christmas dinner. Yeah.
Stop the party, stop the Christmas dinner, and just do a presentation quick.
Perfect.
I mean, what harm can that do? All right.
And then, at the end, start accepting checks. Like, okay, everybody, come on up. Give me your money. No, of course we're joking. Don't do those last few things.
Oh, come on. Can't hurt. I'd love to hear some stories if you end up bringing a projector to Christmas dinner. I'd love to hear the results on that.
Yeah.
So, well, cool. But I mean, look, now's the time. Well, it's always the time. It's always a time to be out there talking about what you're doing. Educating people, really just making sure they understand the power of, if you truly believe in it, you're going to be excited to talk about it, and they're going to be happy to hear about it. And again, you'll be able to feel the room, or understand what as long as you're paying attention. I guess maybe you won't be able to if you're just super over exuberant and you're not thinking about their kind of reactions to you. So for me, I'll make a couple comments about it, but if they don't ask follow-up questions, or if they're not engaging with me, or if they just change the subject quickly, it's just not something I continue on. I don't continue on talking about real estate when they change their subject to, their kid just learned how to ride a bicycle. Like, oh, cool. And then we'll start talking about that, and we'll start talking about what our kids are doing. But I'm not going to go back to, yeah, but by the way, this real estate thing is really cool. No, man, that's stupid. They don't care. They've already checked out. They heard you. They didn't care, and they've moved on. And so you need to move on too. So you got to feel your audience.
Yeah, that's fair. And if you keep on pushing after that point, then you're just going to push them off. And
then you're the in person that shows up to the party and nobody wants to talk to. Exactly. They all run the other way. Cool. That's all I got, man.
Yeah, I think that's a good start. Feel people out, but if, like I said before, if you don't bring it up at all, then you're really putting your friends and family at a disservice. So at least mention it and plant some seeds in their minds.
Plant those seeds. Yep, got it. All right, man. Well, you have a fantastic rest of the day. Make every day Saturday.
Thanks. You too.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe. Your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience, and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So the other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out, and we can definitely have a call. Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.